Löwenbräu Oktoberfestbier.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Again, another Oktoberfest beer. I've been doing quite a few recently, and what started off as me not wanting to do any Oktoberfest beers at all has now turned into me doing loads of them. And this really wasn't the plan. I was going to just avoid Oktoberfest this year at all. I was just going to avoid it completely and let all the other beer reviewers review it. But I sort of stumbled into it when I saw that Lidl pack that was available, and I thought, well, that's too good to give up. And it went on from there, and my mate, he come over from Germany, he's brought me a load of Oktoberfest beer as well. So here's me reviewing the Oktoberfest beer. Even though Oktoberfest is officially over, it's still October. It is the 24th of October today, so this is my Oktoberfest. Fuck tradition. For someone who advocates tradition, I am breaking with it by reviewing Oktoberfest. But the sell-by date on this is next August, so yeah, why not? It's still available. I've seen it, you can get it and still get it in Beers of Europe and some of the online retailers. So yeah, these Oktoberfest beers are well worth checking out. The two standouts so far for me are the Hacker-Shaw Oktoberfest Märzen, which I tried last night. Review is already up. A few positive comments from that. The Hohentanner Oktoberfest beer was another standout for me. So this year I think them two so far have been the best. Löwenbräu, already reviewed it on the channel, reviewed it a couple of years ago. Not sure whether this is a good one or not. Now, yes, it's brewed by AB InBev, or they're owned by AB InBev, I should say. And originally they were, they were founded in 1383, but in the late 90s, I think it was 97 possibly, they merged with Spaten Franziskaner for a time, and then I think it was in 2005 they were sold to Interbrew. Do you remember them? Interbrew were the company that ABM or Anheuser-Busch took over, as they were known, and they became, after that, AB InBev, just an amalgamation of the two names. And they've been with them ever since. And this is my second time trying this Oktoberfest beer. This Oktoberfest beer, of course, is one of the Munich Big Six, Löwenbräu being one of the breweries, along with Hacker-Shaw, along with Spaten, along with the Augustiner Brewery, the Hofbrau Brewery, and they're the ones who are only allowed to have beer tents in Munich, as you may or may not know. And they're pretty big concerns in Munich. You know my views on the Oktoberfest in Munich. Not really for me, thank you very much. I've just been looking up some of the prices, the average prices of beers this year for the Oktoberfest beer, and they range between, for a Stein, or a Maß as it should be called, it was between 12 and 15 euros on average, roughly, which is, well, you can work that one out. It's about £14 for 2 litres, so £7 a litre. So roughly London prices, if you want to be very pedantic, there or thereabouts, London prices. And I'm not going to moan about the price because I paid it the other day. I don't mind paying for good beer, but I don't like having the piss taken out of me as well. And I think £7 is a little bit much, but that's London for you. And of course, Munich is the home of Bavarian brewing, supposedly. I've got slightly different views on that. Yes, it's got the history, certainly, but there are some fantastic brewers that come from outside of Munich. Just naming off a couple, Einga, another great brewery, really fantastic brewery. St. Löwenbräu, one of the smaller breweries, really like what they do as well. And yeah, there's just so many. Bayreuther, I mean, could go on and on. If you get up to some of the, the breweries in Franconia, then you're just going to another level indeed. So I wouldn't always say that Munich brews the best beer in Bavaria. I sort of tend to lean towards Franconia, some of the breweries around there. But I will say Hacker-Pschorr are one of the best breweries, not just in Bavaria, but in Germany as well. One of my favourites, very consistent brewer, and yeah, haven't let me down once with a beer. But we're not talking about Hacker-Pschorr today, we are talking about Löwenbräu. And I don't want to go too much into the details about the history. I've gone into quite an in-depth history of them on my review of their Helles. So if you really want the history, and it is quite an interesting history as well, there's a fair bit about World War II as well. I went through a bit of a hard time during World War II. So if you want to do a search on my channel, there's a little search option on, if you click on my channel and you go to the videos, there's a search option there. Just put in Löwenbräu and that will come up, but check out the history there. It's much more in depth than I want to go into here. So I really want to try and keep this compact because people don't really want to watch me talk for too long. I know quite a few people have said that they really enjoy the history segments on my videos, but I think for some people, that's Percy by the way, he always does that when he scratches himself, the idiot. He was asleep in his bed down there. I'm not going to get him up because he'll just fucking cause carnage like he normally does. But yeah, I want to keep this one as compact as possible, so I'm just going to move on to the next section. Right, 500ml bowl, 6.1%. Now, from memory, this is quite a light coloured beer. It's not like the Hacker-Pschorr, which was a Märzen, which Märzen was the official beer of Oktoberfest, but that's changed now, and normally it's a Helles or Bock style beer, which is quite light in colour. And as you know, Helles and Bock are quite similar styles. So I'm not sure the official classification of this, but it comes under the Oktoberfest beer mantle, which is a little bit broad, if you know what I mean. It could mean Märzen, it could mean a very light coloured Helles, and anything in between. So there you go. Unfortunately, no brew sheet on the website. The website is very sparse and, if I may say so, quite amateur looking as well. But that's by the by. I will say though that the one that I tried before, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best. So I don't know what this is going to be like, but I'll give it a go anyway. And that's it really. Usual stuff about the Reinheitsgebot doesn't really mean a thing to me. Lots of stuff in German. Oh, it's got in English. Don't drink and drive. Jawohl, mein Führer. And there it is on the back. It's got the protected status there. It's an official Munich beer, as if we didn't know. And Percy wants to go out. I'll see you in the next section. Right, let's get this bad boy open. I'm going to use my little bottle opener. Right, here's the cap. As if you didn't know, I used to drink Löwenbräu back in the 80s. They used to import it from West Germany, and it was West Germany back then. And sadly, they decided they should brew it over here, and it tasted like a fucking bag ladies period, and I stopped drinking it. But I do recall drinking it one afternoon and then doing a gig. I was in a rock covers band and it was just an absolute fucking shit show. Don't drink and play your bass. It's never a good idea. Alright, what are we getting? Not bad, but it kind of smells grainy and kind of cheap, if you know what I mean. Maybe that's just me, and maybe it's the sulphur that's come out. But I am getting the aroma of cheapish grain There was a little honey note there, but that seems to have disappeared. But there is a little touch of spice on that as well, but it kind of smells macro, if you know what I mean. There it is in the glass. It's very light, but aroma. Oh, and getting a little earthy note from it there too. I would imagine this has probably got some kind of Hallertau tradition hop in there. Hercules hops maybe for the bittering hop. I don't know. There's no brew sheet, so can't really tell you. Malts, I imagine, are just the local malts. But if it's AB InBev, it wouldn't surprise me if the malts came from Bremen. That's where they're based in Germany. Who knows? Oh well. Stop ranting. Start drinking. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, that tastes weird. Kind of cheap on the palate, but the finish is actually quite nice. There's quite a big seam of bread, biscuit, cracker type flavour. You know that liquid bread that they talk about. Not sure about it on the palate. And to be honest, the aroma ain't that great. Earthy and a little touch of spice, but there's a little, I wouldn't say a nasty niff, but a flavour that an aroma that shouldn't be there. Very sweet. I am noticing that there is a sweetness to it, almost to the point where it's tasting a little bit like it's like brewing syrup, but I don't think it is, because this actually came from Germany and they're not allowed to do that in Germany, I don't think. Whether that Reinheitsgebot has been relaxed or not, I know they do take their beer seriously, but this is AB InBev and I shouldn't let that cloud my judgment. But I know what kind of tricks they pull. I'm pretty sure there isn't any rice in there. It doesn't taste like that kind of beer. Hasn't got that really light mouthfeel. This is quite full bodied, I will say that. I have to say the finish is lovely, and the finish is what's saving it at the moment, because if you look at that, can you see any carbonation there? That translates to the mouthfeel. I wouldn't say it's flat, but I would prefer a little bit more carbonation in that. But again, it's saved by the finish. The finish is huge, it's big, and it's quite Moorish. There's a nice bit of spice on there as well, and almost piney type notes there too. Some people may mistake that for ethanol, and at 6.1 you could kind of think it was ethanol, but that's more of a piney, spicy note, again, which is making me think they've used Hallertau tradition hops in this, because that is a signature type flavour from that. But the carbonation, that's a letdown for me. I mean, I really need to get this across, that there ain't much carbonation in there at all, even though there is quite a good head on that. This would go nice with food. This is a palate cleanser, if you know what I mean. It's not like the Hacker-Pschorr. I know two different styles of beers. The Hacker-Pschorr was a Märzen in the truest sense of the word. It had that colour, very slight caramel note to it, big bread type finish to it, and a lot of that noble hop character. This, on the palate, initially it was quite sweet, but I'm thinking now that this is quite average, and yes, they're a big brewery, and they produce a hell of a lot of beer. Well, it's AB InBev, so I do. Well, how can I put this? If it's AB InBev, and I'm not sure, I can't confirm or deny this, but I think maybe the breweries that are with AB InBev have their own contractors when it comes to buying in bulk ingredients, and I'm wondering whether all their breweries have to go to the same suppliers, because it does remind me a little bit of Beck's. Not in a bad way. I mean, Beck's in a can from Germany is drinkable. Not the fucking shit that's brewed over here and they put it into a green bowl. That is disgusting. I wouldn't put a fire out with it because I wouldn't want to insult the fire. And it's worse than the Stella that's brewed over here. Jesus, we can have to get served up some really bad beer. But in fact, I will say that Beck's, you don't really see it that often down here. I think people have just given up on it, and rightly so. And now they need to give up on Stella because that tastes like shit. Fucking hell. Let's dive in again. Nah, it's just okay. I'm going to say that it's just okay. In a blindfold test, I would say this is a macro brewed. If someone told me it was a German beer, I'd say it was a macro brewed German beer, or a very, very how would I put it? I'll put it this way: I wouldn't say it come from Bavaria. I think it tastes like it's got cheap ingredients. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're at the Oktoberfest and you're in that kind of mood and you get handed a Mars Krug, as it's known. I won't call it a Stein because it's not a Stein. You'd probably chug this like it was going out of fashion and not think of anything. Oh, Percy, what is wrong with you, mate? You're in and out like a fucking fiddler's elbow. Go on. I guarantee you that knob job is going to want to come in a couple of minutes. Yeah, it just tastes like it's got cheapish ingredients to it, and in the right atmosphere. I'm not saying they're trying to rip you off, but if you're going to go to Munich and this is what's going to be served up, I know this is in a bottle. I would imagine on a keg or wherever they serve it from on tap, it's going to be nice, but you'd be sort of paying about sort of €15 for it. Would you want to do that? Probably not. I'm going to go with it's just okay. And for an Oktoberfest beer, I think you really should be pushing the boat out, but I don't think they have. And to be honest, this is probably one of the weaker Oktoberfest beers from Munich. Is it the worst? Well, I've only tried the Hacker-Shore, and that's a different style beer. That's a Märzen. But I have got the Augustiner in my fridge, and I've got some Spaten. Some Spaten? Sound like fucking Sean Connery, don't I? I've got some Spaten Oktoberfest beer. Now, I did try that when I was over in Bavaria, and I drank it warm, and it was absolutely fucking gorgeous. It really was. I drank it warm because it had come straight out of the supermarket and it wasn't refrigerated, and I was gasping for a beer, and I just thought, you know what, fuck it. But yeah, when I was over there, I did drink a lot of their Bayreuther beer. That was absolutely fucking amazing. They're a great brewery, that Bayreuther brewery. Really should. I've reviewed them on the channel, but I think I've done quite a few of their beers actually. But Bayreuther, if you ever see any of theirs, get them. They're a good brewery. This stuff, yeah, the carbonation is a letdown for me. Now, I know it can go two ways. You can get the aggressive carbonation, or you can get mild carbonation, which is what I like, or you can get this, which is bordering. I wouldn't say it's flat, but it's bordering on flat as a witch's tit. And I imagine if I left it for any longer, that would be even flatter. But I digress. I'm just going to say that's average. So, what is the verdict on the Löwenbräu München Oktoberfest beer? Well, it is very average. I told you that bell end would be in a couple of minutes. Come on in, knob job, if you're coming in. Come on. Oh, he's fucked off. He's taking the piss out of me, man. You watch. He's going to bang on the door again, is he? No, he's not. There is a dog out there. I'm not making this up. Yeah. It's a well-known brewery, don't get me wrong, and it's got quite a bit of heritage, and they've been around since 1383, so you have to give them some respect. But in the grand scheme of things, and from what I've tried, and from what I think is a good beer, certainly an Oktoberfest beer, which is a special beer, well, I think it should be. You know, if you're into the tradition and stuff like that, then I think you should push the boat out. Then it really is average, to be honest. I'm looking at the terminology on it. It's saying Oktoberfest beer. On some of the Lidl beers, I'm just going to get this. I haven't got rid of it yet. I promise I will one day, but I've still got it. Some of these, which one was it? Now, if you've got these and you're looking at the reviews of them and you're wondering, one of them was called, here it is, Weizentrago. Weizen. Sorry, it's pronounced Wiesen, I should say. My mate's Norby's probably fucking, hey, come over here, to his missus, because apparently he calls his missus over every time I mispronounce something. But Wiesen translates to meadow, and that is what the Bavarians call the site of where they have their Oktoberfest. So if you see a Wiesen beer, it's not a Weiss beer. It actually translates to meadow beer, but that's what this was originally. It was known as a meadow beer, but it's called an Oktoberfest beer now. And yeah, it's very average, I have to say. What am I going to give it? Well, it's certainly not a chuck down the sink job. It sounds like I'm being harsh on it because it comes from Bavaria and there is some stiff competition there. And if this is what you're putting up against all the others, Hacker-Shaw for starters, as competition, I think you're way off the mark. And yeah, some people really like this. Now, this is just, again, as I always say in these videos, this is just my opinion. It's not gospel. Don't take it for gospel. Try it yourself. You might like it. And I've seen a few comments. People have asked me to, and this is why I've done this actually, is because a lot of people have asked me to review the Löwenbräu Oktoberfest beer. I think it's average. If you think it's nice, then that's fine. That's all that matters. If you like it, crack on. Me, I've got some. I'll tell you what I have got in the fridge. I want to show you this beer, right, because it's very hard to get hold of, but it's one of the best beers I've tasted from North Germany. This stuff, Potts Landbier. Now, Landbier, as you know, is a bit of a broad term. It's not really a style of beer. It's just basically something that doesn't fall into the usual categories of beer. But this comes from Münster, in the North Rhine-Westphalia region. This stuff is fantastic. This is one of the best beers I've tasted from that region, if not the best. It's fantastic. And my mate Norby brought it over for me. They only do it in 330ml bottles, which is a real shame because this is such a great beer. It really is. It's like, if you like Dunkels, you're going to love that. That is fantastic. It's a fucking 11 out of 10 for me. It's one of my favourite beers. Certainly my favourite land beer. And I know land beer, as I keep saying, is a very, very broad term. But I think the only one that comes close to it, again, a sort of North German beer, well, it's sort of Western German beer, isn't it? Is the Bitburger Grevensteiner land beer. That's fantastic. But this, for me, is outstanding. That is a fantastic beer. Really hard to get hold of, though. You won't get it in Germany. The only place you will get it, you may get it in Dortmund, but the only place you'll get it really is sort of Münster and around that area. But check it out. If you can get hold of some of this, it is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that's that out of the way. I'm not sponsored by them, so don't get that into your head. It's a very, very small brewery. In fact, it's more like a restaurant stroke brewery that brew their own beer, but they are fantastic. If you're ever in that region, stop off and get some, because it is a fantastic beer. It will change your life forever. Probably not, don't quote me on that. This stuff, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's worth any more than that. It's quite average, and if you're going to buy this, then question yourself and say, do you want an okay beer, or do you want an outstanding beer? Again, I would say the Hohentanner Märzen or the Hacker-Shaw Oktoberfest Märzen. Some people might say I shouldn't be doing that because this isn't a Märzen. A Märzen is, or does have a little bit more caramel malt on there, but they're Oktoberfest beers. So I'm just going to lump the whole lot together. And for me, Hacker-Shaw and Hohentanner are doing the best Oktoberfest beer so far. This is way behind, and that's why it's getting a 7 out of 10. It's still a good beer, don't get me wrong. If you like it, then it's fine. It's up to you, you know, your taste, you like it. For me, not so great. Tastes a bit too macro for me. But there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.